Shalom, family.
Shalom.
I have an image here I want you to see. Interesting, huh? This is about to get ugly. 10-year spread. I got this image from economy analysis report that was done on YouTube, and it was pretty interesting what they were saying in this report, because they're looking at the 10-year spread, the last 10-year spread, and where things are going right now. And they said based on this 10-year spread, every time we have a recession, it shows this type of diagram, this type of graph, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And so I found it was pretty interesting, because there was another article that I want to share with you guys, and I'm going to bring this article up now, but this is it here. It says all of the economic momentum is now moving in just one direction now. And what direction is that? Downward. Are you hearing me? It's moving downward. And so this is something I want us to understand. These things happen, okay?
Yeah.
They happen, and that's why we watch the news so much, and we see what you try to keep an eye on what's going on, so we can pretty much be prepared for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, you saw the report we did about what's happening with the crops,
Yes.
okay? And when is harvest time? In the fall.
Yes.
So those crops is going to get harvested for the fall. Is actually for the future,
Yeah.
okay, of next spring and next winter and spring. So, but they harvest it in fall and they prepare it and get it out to the stores or whatever, right?
Right.
So basically, that's why we're trying to tell you, pay attention to what's going on. So now with us, and actually what they're saying is that we're already at the brink of a recession based on the 10-year downfall. You know, we're already there.
Right.
Now I want to get another article I want to share with you real quickly here. Let's go to this article. It says, even before the recession has officially begun, so they let you know it's about to begin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some large U.S. firms are laying off thousands of workers. Now, pay attention to what's being said here, because this is very important that we get this, okay? Hold on a second. I'll get this in the way here.
While he's looking for that family, again, this is not fear mongering, but this is basically us saying we have to pay attention to these things, because even though many of us, we make the statement that we are used to being poor or being without or born without, and I agree
Yes.
with that. A lot of our people are used to these things, and so therefore when we hear reports such as this, we're like, okay, well, business as usual for us. But it can get to a point where things are so rough and so bad to where even those who say that they are used to these things will no longer have even what they did have.
Yeah.
And it can definitely get to that point, and preparation is the key in all of these things. And that's that's all that we're saying, is to simply make whatever type of preparations you can when we see these forecasts. This is the system that they've built.
Yes.
And we are watching in real time as this system crumbles and falls apart.
Yeah, one thing I want to say about when you hear the statement, yeah, we already been pouring out. Let me tell you something, okay? Let's clarify that, because I want you to understand what's going on here, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you think that you are poor and you sitting up living in a nice apartment or decent apartment, okay, and you are able to drive or get on a subway and go somewhere, or get on a bus and go somewhere, and you have a few dollars in your pocket, I guarantee you, if you want to see poor, there's some people that are living so doggone poor. We talking about living in these, what they call these little towns?
Shanty towns.
These shanty towns, and they ain't got money, ain't got food. Folk getting killed for a bag of potatoes You know, this is what we mean by real poverty. I've seen people talk about them being poor, and the kids sitting out walking around in $60, $70 gym shoes, but yet they talking about they poor family on welfare, but still sitting around dressing as if they got good money. So when we say poor, things can get worse. When we say things can get worse, we're talking about beyond where you are now. If any of you are poor, yeah.
We know that there are different levels of poverty.
Yes.
Poverty here in the U.S. is different than poverty in Africa.
That's right.
Okay? And in certain regions of China.
That's
Poverty
right.
here is different than poverty there.
It's different.
So, we have to be realistic when we assess these types of things. But when you are used to living a certain way,
Yep.
and even that is taken from you,
Yeah.
then it can become very difficult. But the best thing we can do is pay attention to these things, look at the signs of the times that are before us, understand biblical prophecy that perilous times are coming and perilous times are here, and that covers so many different layers. It's not just talking about people killing and doing all this kind of stuff. It's also talking about famine and drought and people having an inability to take care of themselves or feed themselves. It's talking about a number of different things.
Absolutely.
Parents killing their children killing their parents, and just so many different things that we have to consider when we think about perilous times.
Exactly, and we know they got to come. That's the word, right? And we know we're slowly gearing up for it more and more each and every month, each and every year.
Each and every day.
That's right, each and every day. Okay. Now this article here that I want to share with you, let me move this one out of the, is this the one? No. Okay, I turned the wrong one on. Okay, this one here. It says, if the U.S. economy is booming and very bright days are ahead, then why are many large U.S. corporations laying off thousands of workers? Layoffs are starting to come in fast and furious now. And this is happening even though the coming recession has not even officially started. Of course, many are convinced that we are actually in a recession at this moment, which we could be, okay, at this moment. In fact, according to John Williams of shadowstats.com, if the government is actually using honest numbers, they would show that we have been in a recession for quite some time. But the narrative that the mainstream media keeps feeding us is that the U.S. economy is doing well, that the outlook for the future is positive. Well, if that is true, then why are the big companies laying off so many workers right now? Now, let's watch this. Okay, look at this. Ford Motor Company laid off approximately 7,000 workers. You hear this? Ford Motor Company said Monday that it is laying off 7,000 managers and other salaried employees, about 10% of its white-collar workforce across the globe. You hear this? So these are the things that's going on here, right? Let's keep reading, okay? Nestle S.A.'s United States unit will dismiss about 4,000 workers. Okay? This is an ongoing thing that's going on right now. Workers getting laid off. 3M plans to cut 2,000 workers globally. MGM reports international MGM 2.09% plans to cut about 1,000 positions by the end of the current quarter. Okay? So basically, this is the type of stuff that's going on right now. So if they're laying off like this and we haven't even began this recession, then things could get rough. As a matter of fact, there's another article that talks about Walmart's closing all over the United States. Quietly closing.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to talk about too is there's a local business here, and we get certain landscape things and composting things from them. They were talking about the machines that they use to lift certain things, how people are coming there asking to buy their machine. They're like, no, we're not letting this go. You know what I'm saying? And the reason is they were saying that a lot of their customers who are offering to buy it from them, and they're offering them a lot of money, but they're not hurting for money, so they're like, no, we're not selling it. But they were saying that because of the tariffs, that, and that someone in the chat said that the tariffs are going to cause a lot of, and they've already started causing a lot of bad things. Because of these tariffs, we got to understand, when you have someone at the helm as whacked out as number 45, who's not considering all of the things that his actions cause and how it affects others. He's putting all these tariffs on these other nations, especially China. And China's like this. Look, two can play at that game.
Yep.
And so when he put all these tariffs on steel and things of that nature, they were saying that the steel required to make these machines, these high-lows, these tractors or whatever it is they're making, they are taxed so highly that the companies that make these machines have to raise their prices.
Yes.
And so therefore they are priced beyond affordability.
Yeah.
And so when you have number 45 making these childish decisions, it's not just his ego at stake, but it's your pocketbook at stake.
Yeah.
So many different things are happening. Decisions are being made for us that are affecting us daily.
Yes.
And when companies have to pay more for things that they need to operate their business, guess who feels that in their pocketbook? We do, because they have to raise their prices to adjust for the additional cost that they have incurred. So right now we're dealing with, I'm going to say, someone in the White House who is just out of control. And if you may not feel it right now, but down the line you will feel what we are talking about in your pocketbook.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I mean, just thinking about food doubling, you know, everybody's still going to the grocery stores getting their food doubling. It's like, man, the price of food can skyrocket on us, you know, and it's a number of things could happen. So just looking at this and the food thing, and it's like they're both coming together, and there's other things too. It's like, man, you know, just like there was another video that we saw. It was about 5 years ago. This video was posted 5 years ago, but I had no idea this was going on in California because of the drought. They were saying that the land is dropping because what the farmers are, they're not getting any rain, and so the farmers are pumping water from underground, and this is causing the land to drop. What did he say? A foot every year or something?
I think it was more than that.
Yeah, probably more than that every year.
They showed some type of scale.
Yeah,
they've shown that it's dropped more than 20 feet.
Yeah.
Since a certain time period. So.
Yeah. So that's 20 feet. That's a lot of distance. Mm-hmm. You know, that is dropping because they're pumping all this water out from under, and it's causing, of course, the land to collapse in certain areas. And so, man, this all is enough to say, okay, this is serious. And one thing I've learned, I'm going to tell you something. I've learned it's better to be prepared. And I've heard a speaker say this years ago, and it was so true, and it stayed with me all those years. He said, it's better to be prepared for an incident that happens. It's better to be prepared and not have it happen than to be unprepared and have it happen.
Yes.
You get what we're saying? It's just better to be prepared. Either way it go, be prepared. Mm-hmm. You know? And so we gotta be prepared for this stuff. You know, there's no telling how things could go. So again, our message to you is, hey, let's not ignore these warning signs, okay? Let's not ignore them. Now, let's say 12 months go by and don't nothing happen. Things go like business as usual. Okay, well, to Yah be the glory. Thank you, Yah. But we know it's going to be for His glory too, to allow things to go southward too, because that's His word.
Right, that's what I was going to say. Someone here in the chat said that it's all by design.
Yeah.
When we look at these things, it's not for us to fear, because it is all by design. There have been prophecies that have been made, and we see it unfolding right before our eyes. And so we don't get shocked.
Yeah.
We don't. We're not in shock or in fear of these things, but we are just sounding the alarm for those who may not be paying attention and saying, "Look, there are things that we can do.
Yes.
We can scale back on things, and we can look at what's more important and say we're going to spend our money there.
Yeah.
Okay, if you're one of those who likes to dress a certain way and likes to spend a certain amount of money on frivolous things, you may want to invest some of that, like someone said, in seeds.
Yes.
For us, seeds are an investment.
Yes.
Anytime we buy seeds, I always feel like, okay, we're one step ahead of the game again
Yep.
with every pack of seeds that we purchase. And because I look at it as a future storage of food, even though it's not grown
Yeah.
yet, I look at it as the potential to feed our family. And
Yes.
so the biggest things that we must look at during a recession, family, is food, shelter, and water. Okay? And whatever that means for you, those are the things that we must do. What we've been saying over the years too, for those who are living in situations where they're in the cities or what have you, even getting an acre of land is a big deal. I've seen a lot of people do a lot of growing on 1 acre of land.
Yeah.
And 1 acre of land, depending on where you live, you can get that for less than what you get back in your tax return.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen an acre of land going for as low as $500 in some areas,
Yeah.
$1,000 in some areas, $2,500 in some areas. It just depends on how serious you are
Yeah.
about making moves toward this. And I know it's easier said than done, and there's more to it than just buying land. But even if you're able to buy land and you have to stay where you are, but your land is not far, you can still do whatever it is you need to do on that land to take care of the needs of your family and those in the community.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And let me tell you, some of you may be living next door to a vacant lot. See if you can purchase that lot. You know, you may be able to get it dirt cheap. Yeah, I've heard of lots going for as low as $100 on in Detroit.
Yeah.
You know, and so that may work for you. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, of course, like I said, we're trying to just make you aware of what's going on. Not trying to scare you. We already know this stuff's going to happen, right?
Yeah,
Not trying to scare you, trying to prepare you. Okay?
that's right.
That's right. Hallelujah.
Someone says it's been reported that this recession will be the biggest since 1930s.
You hear
which
this?
is called the Great Depression.
Yep,
The
exactly.
Jews said that.
We-
And
yeah.
I can believe it. Right
Yeah.
now we have someone who is in the White House giving off information saying the economy is better than it's ever been under any other president ever. I mean, this is what he's saying, and you have
Yeah.
some people falling for that. And
Yeah.
when you hear those kinds of reports coming from number 45, then it makes you just kind of lay back and chill a little bit.
Yeah.
When, you know, even if things were great, we don't have time to lay back and chill. We have work to
Yeah.
do, family. Whatever it is we must do, we need to prepare ourselves and our families for whatever this recession is.
That's right.
I mean, you might not feel the pinch like a person who is wealthy or middle class. You may not feel the pinch like them, but at some point you will feel the pinch, especially if they start to cut, I'm just going to say government programs. What if they start to mess with like the SSI that some of our seniors are getting, or the welfare benefits that some of our sisters are getting? If they start to deal with those things, then we feel the pinch because we want to help our families. We want to help our seniors, you see? And so at some point you will feel it. So don't feel like, hey, I'm covered, because we shouldn't have that mindset to begin with. We should always think about the next person as well.
Exactly, exactly. And one thing I want you to understand, you know, just like when they talk about the Great Recession, okay, I want you to understand something, because I remember I've seen images of this stuff. I saw news footage and stuff on this, history footage on this stuff years ago, okay? And I remember how amazing it was, you know, to see these people, how poor everybody was, you know. But I want to show you something here. It's just another image I want to bring over real quick and let you see this image. But I remember when they were talking about this, they said that you had people that were actually millionaires, people that were rich, that were standing in lines of the soup kitchen because that's how bad things got. And if you look at this image and you look at all these people that were in line to get food, look at these people. Do they look dirt poor?
No.
See this? And this is what we're saying. Depression could actually take millions away from a person and dump them right into poverty. That's how bad that depression was of the 1930s. Yeah.
And see, that's what happens when you turn the production of food over to a wicked system.
Yeah, that's right.
These people were so comfortable with all their money, and I guess they felt like nothing could ever touch them.
That's right.
But money is no good if you don't know how to do things for yourself. Because
That's right.
when the system fails, if there's nothing to buy, your money is no good to you.
That's right.
You see? And so I think they did a major disservice to people, period, when they started industrializing farming.
Yes.
So where people who used to grow their own food on their
Yeah.
own land, back
Yeah.
during the prairie days, everybody was responsible for their own food and they shared it with their neighbors. Okay, you got some eggs, give me some eggs and I'll give you some grain, right?
Yeah.
That's how things worked back then. But now
Yeah.
they have it to where they've pretty much said, the government, the system, they pretty much said, oh, don't worry about growing food.
Yeah.
We got you covered. You just go ahead and work your job. And why do we work jobs? So that we can buy food and shelter.
Yeah.
So they have kind of flipped things upside down and
Yeah.
turned them topsy-turvy. Whereas before, people used to own their homes and their land,
Yep.
and they may have had a little small debt on it, but now everything is borrowed, okay? People are using money to, or borrowing money to pay for food. So everything, your whole life is borrowed. And that is by design too. And so most people, when you say something about growing food, when I say most people, I'm not just talking about so-called black people, I'm talking about people in general. Most people are not interested in growing their own food. They're not interested in farming or doing anything like that. They want the accessibility that grocery stores offer. They want the
Yes.
convenience of all of this. Nobody wants to put their hands in the soil anymore. And so what they don't realize is you've turned your whole life over to the system, and when the system fails or the system topples, you are affected by that, but you are not prepared physically or mentally to do anything about it.
Exactly. And the one thing I want to bring up is that, like my wife was saying, things used to be different. There were people that were doing their own gardens and all that kind of stuff way back in the days. Matter of fact, there were local farmers. There wasn't no grocery stores like you see today. There were local farmers. There were lots of local farmers, and people just say, "Yeah, I'm gonna go over here."
To the farmer's market.
To the farmers market. You know what I'm saying? You know, and that's how it was back then. People were into that. You know, that's how it was. And things have just changed. You know, things have just changed so badly over the years until it's just we become very dependent upon the grocery store. You know, but that fresh produce is much better.
Yeah.
It's just much better, you
I remember
know?
when we lived in Michigan, we used to love to go to the Eastern Market. Those
Yes.
of you who still live in the Detroit area, the Eastern Market is an area where hundreds of farmers come from all over Southeast Michigan to sell their fresh produce.
Yes.
And it's sad that places like that are kind of just disappearing. I'm not sure if the Eastern Market is still there because we haven't lived there in a while.
Yes.
It probably is, but other areas you see these type of markets closing down because everything is so accessible through the grocery stores.
Yes.
And there is no more support for a local farmer that is selling his produce. They have to compete
Yeah.
with Walmart in every area. You see.
Yes, exactly.
And again, it's becoming very difficult.
Yeah.
Very difficult to even get this message out to people because convenience has set in up here. And because we're used to it, we're like we said, we had a family member say one time,
Yeah, I
when we told them
remember.
we were raising chickens, they were like, for what? What you raising chickens for? Just go to the store and buy some.
Yeah.
That was the response. In other words, they were telling us in a nutshell that we were wasting time raising chickens.
Raising chickens.
When we can just go buy one. Because it wasn't, they just weren't taking it in. They
Yeah.
weren't comprehending the fact that if we raise our own livestock, we know what to expect. We
And
know
what's
that
in
they're
it,
not
yeah.
getting any in chemicals or injections
Exactly.
or anything of that sort.
Exactly. We know what's in it. We know what we putting in, what we feeding the chickens. We know all of that, and we know already they putting all kind of antibiotics and all kind of things in these chickens. Why did they get the chickens so much antibiotics? because these chickens are prone to disease because they're laying in their own filth and eating filth and all that kind of stuff. And so that's why they have to give them the antibiotics like they do.
They have hundreds of thousands of them packed inside
Yeah.
of a building.
Yeah.
Someone said that the Eastern market is still around. Thank you, Elisa. Yeah, I mean, that's good to hear. That's good to hear.
Yeah, we used to go there and get all kinds of stuff from the Eastern market, you know.
Mhm.
But now there are a lot there, and I'm glad to see there's a lot of local farmers markets that are popping up here and there. And it's good that every now and then you drive around, you see somebody on the side of the road, and they got all this stuff that they're growing and they're selling. It's good to see that from time to time, because I'm telling you right now, woo-wee, I hate to think of how things could get, how bad it can get. And so we just want to encourage you all to continue to try to get out there and get some stuff planted. Stay on it. Hallelujah.
And somebody asked if we ate that mean chicken yet. Watchman's been so busy he hasn't had time to slaughter him yet, because it's definitely it's a task. It's not as easy as one might think. And not to mention, we don't want to just take him out. We have so many roosters back there. We got to take out about 8 of them. At
least 8. And let me tell you, first time I cleaned a chicken, it ain't nothing like I thought. I thought it was going to be easy like cleaning a fish. No, sirree. Cleaning that chicken, I said, man, just plucking the feathers off is a headache. And so I said, you know what, I got to come up with a better way. And so we got a better way of things that we're going to be doing, but I just got to get around to it right now. So we're going to get that mean chicken.
Oh, yeah, he's going to get got.
I may even show a video of him getting got, and no, I ain't going to do that. of what become of him. I'll put it to you like that.
Yeah, like a bowl of chicken and dumplings or something like that. He'll say, here's the bowl.
Or chicken pot pie. My daughter, she makes these awesome chicken pot pies, you know, with organic flour and everything, and they're awesome. Okay. But anyway.
I wanted to say this real quick. I saw a couple of people say this. Okay, I saw a couple of people say this, that the Amish are doing it right. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely,
we
they
talk
are.
about the Amish and the Mennonites all the time.
Yes.
And see, this is one of those things where the Most High says he's going to use the Gentiles to provoke us to jealousy. That's one of my areas right there. Let me tell you what I mean. And when I say provoke you to jealousy, I don't mean that I'm jealous of these people. But what I do mean is when I look at how they are able to work together as a unit.
Yep.
They are building things together, growing things together. They are functioning as a unit, and many of them are off grid. Many of them.
They don't even miss a beat. Yeah.
Right, they don't. We're starting to see more and more of them driving, but for the most part, their lives are so simplistic. It's like what many of us desire, this off the grid living.
Yeah.
And when I see how they work together, okay.
Yes.
One thing we notice on Facebook Marketplace when we see people selling things, they'll say something built by the Mennonites or built by the Amish. That's like the Made in America symbol, right?
Yeah.
Not that I care about Made in America, but that they're using that like, hey, this is the pride that we have in what we're selling. Made by the Mennonites, made by the Amish.
In other words, they do good quality work.
They do good quality work, and we have seen that. I remember we bought some cedar chests almost 20 years ago from some Amish. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because our people have these skill sets too. But you know what we don't have? We don't have that desire to work together and do. I mean, some of us may have the desire, but we don't have that drive and ambition to see it through.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, okay, let's do this. How much am I getting paid? Before you can even get the build and sold, let's just say you build a shed, and it costs X amount of dollars to build that shed, right? And you can possibly double your money. If it costs you, say, $1,500 to build the shed, and you're going to turn around and sell it for, let's say, $3,500, because we've seen the numbers on what it costs to build versus what they're selling it for, and they're making some really good profits. But our people are of the sort, before you can even get a project like that off the ground, everybody wants their money up front. Okay, I done put my time in, the shed is built, give me my money. It's like,
Yeah.
brother, can you give us some time to sell it first?
Yeah.
And this is why we see these other nations working together, and it provokes you to jealousy, because
Yes.
we're saying ourselves, we can do this, family,
Yes.
but we just don't have that cohesion. We don't
Yeah.
have that trust. We don't have that love, and we don't have that drive and ambition. While
Yeah.
other people are making progress, we are making excuses.
You know, it's a shame. I kid you not. I gotta admit, okay, when I see the Amish and the Mennonites and what they're doing, I have to sit there and shake my head and say, man, it's a shame that we can't be like that. You know, let me tell you something. Power go out, okay? Supermarkets close down. They wouldn't even care. They wouldn't miss a beat, okay? I've seen these people. I've seen them in places. I've seen their organizations. We drove by a few in different areas. Remember, I went by one in Pennsylvania one time, and I was like, man, look at this. Guess what? If gas goes out, they have buggies and horses. You get what I'm saying? They will miss a beat. The everything could collapse, and they'll just keep on living like it ain't no big deal.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes, amazing.
Yeah, only thing, but guess what though? They ain't gonna escape God's judgment though either. You know, so of course the earth gonna open up, and the sun gonna scourge people, and all kinds of things gonna happen, right? And so many people aren't gonna miss it, but
Yeah, judgment still stands.
That's
but
right.
It's like, when we look at these other nations, though, it does give you something to think about when you consider how well they work together. You
yes,
know?
absolutely, absolutely. Well, we're going to go ahead and end this broadcast. We want you to know, keep on praying for us and keep on preparing yourself. Keep on getting ready. Did you have anything else you want to discuss with them
No, not at this time, family.
this time?
We love you all, and
Yes,
we
we
appreciate
love
you
you.
for joining us again.
Yes, we
We
love
just
you.
wanted to give another sounding of the alarm about
That's
the
right.
recession, things that they're not really hyping up in the news. They want to keep you in the dark, having you believe that things are all right. And if they're saying it's all right, just believe the opposite.
Yeah,
It is what it is.
just believe the opposite. I'm gonna leave this image with you one more time. I want you to see that what these analysts are saying. And I'm not saying this. I'm telling you this is what they are saying. The people who analyze the economy. Okay. But anyway, we love you, family, and we thank the Most High for you, and we pray that that these messages will cause you to say, okay, enough fun and games. Let me just get serious about this real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just get serious about planning food and storing food and stocking up and doing all of that. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, family.
With that, we will say shalom.
Shalom.
Be sure to ring the bell to be notified of new uploads on this channel, and also share, like, and subscribe.